Okay, thank you. My name is Santos. I am working for K. Ruben, Belgium, but I am originally from Spain. So I am not the main author of the paper, but still I have been really involved because some of the legal publications also are mine. So I know quite a bit what we did. So yeah, let's start with what we had. We had a course. The idea is a human-computer interaction course. So basically, it's the goal was about prototyping. They start with paper prototyping, and at the end, they have a digital prototype or a final prototype really working, or in mobile devices, or in a desktop application, whatever. So what we do in the middle is that they have to use blogs to report on the progress and every iteration. They have also to tweet every time that they start to work in the course, and also they get comments on. They have to comment on the others' work, so they have to put comments on each other's blogs. They always work in groups of 2 or 3, and then they have also, it's very important, this user evaluation. So they have to go with real users, get feedback, open feedback, and also more quantitative feedback like the SUS questionnaire about usability. And then all these results, they have to report it in, for instance, in a Google spreadsheet. One of the points is also the course is completely open, so everything should be open, even the results of the evaluation. So in that way, we can get the data, gather the data, and play with that. So from where we come from, before that, basically what we implemented are learning dashboards, so a lot of visualizations and so on. But the idea is that one of the evaluations that we did, at the end we realized that, we were addressing the problems that we were thinking that maybe a dashboard can address, but we were not really addressing the problems that they feel that they are important for them. So it was a bit of a problem for us. And one of the problems was motivation. So our previous learning dashboards, they were not addressing motivation. So we were thinking about badges. So then in this kind of course, we started to design badges. Also it's important that the idea of badges was not only gamification. We wanted to avoid a bit the part of gamification. We wanted to use badges in order to aggregate data, and probably this reflection process that they do with the learning dashboard to simplify it, because the badges were an aggregation of learning data. So basically we had a neutral badge, so basically a badge that was awarded that probably it's not really meaningful, but in order to engage people in the system, we had also the neutral badges. For instance, we had the positive badges. So what we were considering that it's positive for the course or for the learning process, so we created the positive badges. And although pedagogically everybody argues against that, we had also the negative badges. So when we were considering, for instance, no activity during 2 weeks, we were awarding also the concept of a negative badge. And basically, also what we had is level of badges. So also we had the bronze, the silver, and the gold medal. Why we were awarded badges? Well, basically Hans already explained part of that. So for instance, really simple, for instance, this idea of neutral badges was the simple activity. So they were posting, they were commenting, they were tweeting. So it's a badge, After 5 tweets, they get a badge. Quality badges, it's what we called when the contribution to the community had an impact. So basically, what we were awarding badges was when they were getting comments or retweets or something like that. This can mean in a community of practice that the contribution is relevant. And finally, for the milestone, so they have to do different iterations. So for instance, when an iteration had better usability, so we also awarded a badge in order to award some real contribution. So the question was, can we use badges to make sense better of the learning traces? So yeah, we tried to merge this idea. So the first prototype was really based web desktop, well, a desktop application, web-based. And the idea is basically the main conclusion was, okay, probably it was helping to the motivation, but they didn't really reflect it on why they got this badge. So the other purpose was, our goal was also to address this problem of motivation, but we wanted also to trigger some reflection of what they wanted to do, what was the next step, why they did something or not. And this is not something that we manage with this prototype, although we include more visualizations, but yeah, they are not included. So another prototype was, okay, we have a tabletop, we visualize the badges, we put everybody surrounding the table, well, everybody in the group, and then they start to see what are the badges awarded in the group, what are the badges awarded to other groups, and so on. And then what we, after the evaluation, what we saw is that this social discourse was really triggering more reflection, and they were coming with questions. Yeah, maybe during this period I didn't really get the badge because we were in holidays or we were with these other assignments. So really we were triggering reflection. So we consider it really nice. But in that evaluation, also they were reporting that they were interested to see, okay, what was the real content, why the badge was awarded. So they really wanted to see the evidence. So this is basically this paper where we presented this prototype, and this is a really huge dashboard, probably not so oriented for students. This is also something that I forgot to mention. We usually, all the dashboards that we do, we use the same version for teachers and students, so all the students can see the same like the teacher. But this was more oriented to teachers. So here are all the badges of the course, and basically the size of the bubble is how many badges have been awarded. Here are the list of the students. Also here again it's the list of badges, and then the idea was basically that you can compare different groups, different students, and then for instance it highlights different colors, and well, I think that it's much better explained in the paper. But the point is that we started to link it with the content. In this prototype, it's not really linking the badges with the real content. So this is a bit of a isolated visualization compared with the others. So you cannot really click here and then everything is filtered out. But this is definitely what we want to do, and this is the next step, because one of the results of the evaluation is that teachers were quite happy because they could compare a lot of activity from the students, but they really wanted to see again the evidence of the badge, because maybe they have been awarded with a badge because they did many comments, but the comments were stupid. So they really wanted to have a way of really taking a look inside of the badge and explore what were the evidences. So this is basically what we are working also in European pedagogy, how we spot in the context of inquiry-based learning. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Again, anyone who wants to put some quick comments or questions?
Maybe I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't get finally who's primarily interested in the evidence. Was it students or teachers, or both of them were interested?
In the prototype of the tabletop were basically the students, so who were asking for the evidence of the badge.
Okay.
And they even were suggesting that the tabletop was a good scenario for discussing badges together with the teacher. So they were also really interested on the evidences.
Okay.
But in the last prototype, it was basically teachers because we're the only people with who we evaluate the tools. So.
Yeah, so the assignment of that, actually awarding of badges is done automatically then?
Yes.
It's not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to know about the software that runs this, your team developed it?
Yeah, the dashboard and also the backend who process all the,
It's a big work, yeah?
yeah.
And what is the license of the software?
We have to publish everything open source, so, because it's in the context of a European project that is open source.
You don't know the license yet.
It's open source, but
Google is open source, but you cannot access to Google data. So
you don't know. You can you can really access because it's in GitHub. In GitHub, it's openly available. It's software, so you can really access and play with it. Basically.
okay, well we speak later. Thank you.
I think that Theo's question is actually, was it licensed as, Creative Commons or GPL, LGPL, or Apache, or whatever? What kind of, was that your question?
Yeah. But
But
it's not chosen yet or something, and
yeah,
I
well,
want
I
to
don't
push
really
back.
remember what was the decision of the whole project. But I think that it's something Apache, something, but I don't know
But
completely.
in resume, when you say open, it means it's about quality, but it doesn't mean it's going to be openly shared. When you say free, it means it's going to be ethically openly shared. So this is why when you use the word open source, it doesn't really answer.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Who's next?